Hello, folks. We have a special evening for you here at Earworms, and welcome to it, whether you're joining us live or catching us on the rewind. We really appreciate you taking the time to check us out, and tonight we got a treat for you. We have with us a master guitarist and a phenomenal player on many ethnic string instruments, Mr. Gabriel Marin. One of our co-hosts, Mike Gorley, Mike Mountain Hawk Gorley, actually studies with this gentleman, and we're going to learn all about him and hear some of his playing and some of his music. And I'm just not going to keep talking here. I think it's time that we at least introduce some of our cohorts, all that sort of stuff. First up, here's the lady. Okay. Here is Liza Sahido from Psyche Electroacoustic Opera Company.
Hello.
So excited. We have a musician tonight.
Yes. Very excited.
In fact, all of us are musicians tonight. Also included is a good friend. You've seen him before on Earworms. Tonight will be his night to present, Mr. Mike Mountain Hawk Gorley. Hello, Mike.
Good evening.
Yes, it is a good evening.
It's a great evening.
Yes, I'm always excited to work with some fellow artists and feature their music and get to know them. And especially as independent artists, we need to work together, promote each other, and share the love because we are stronger together than we are separate.
Absolutely.
So I am going to be handing over much of the reins to you tonight, and you'll basically tell me what to do. But basically, is there anything you want to say before we bring Gabe on stage, or?
Oh, no, let's bring him on.
Okay, here we go. You are live.
I'm on stage, it says.
Yes.
You are on stage, Gabriel.
My couch is a very comfortable stage to be on.
Thank you, man. It's good to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
So, I think I made this scene that I think will be great for when we're talking to Gabe and any what might be playing for us and stuff. So let's switch to this. And so, is everything working?
Looks good.
All right.
Right, there we go.
So
I see. All right.
You're in the lead now, Mike. No pressure.
No pressure. All right. Well, as you said in your introduction there, Lawrence, I've been taking lessons off Gabriel since 2020. And we just had our 100th lesson the other night.
Wow.
So, yeah, we've done guitar, we've done Dombra, Dutars, 2 Dutars.
And now the Uchteli, the 3-string saz.
Yes, Uchteli. So anyway, enough of me. I'm sure folks would like to hear a little bit about you and consider the source and your side projects. So I'll let you do a little intro on you.
Okay. From born and raised New York City, still right now I'm in Queens. I grew up uptown Manhattan. And I play, my main instrument is this, which is a a normal fretted guitar and then a fretless guitar put together. And then I also play a bunch of instruments in the Dutar family. Du means two, or do means two in Persian, and tar means string. And so most of the instruments that I play are two string. Some of them have a third string that would be like a double, because a lot of you have a root, you have a fifth, and so sometimes you have a root fifth, a double of the root, or a root drone in a fifth. So sometimes I'll allow the third string in there, but only for specific purposes. Most of the music that I play is kind of rooted in like the Balkan music. That's my sort of. Everyone has a music that stuff comes from, so my stuff kind of originates from that, mixed with like rock music, and and from there, North Indian, South Indian, Persian music from Azerbaijan, the different Central Asia republics. All of that stuff gets fused together, and I've studied and performed all of those things. And as Mike was mentioning off camera before, I went to college for Western classical music, and and I've played a lot of like free jazz stuff as well. So like it's a wide range of music that I'm into and perform, luckily, which is pretty cool. Uh, Getting to have a career that gets to do all of this stuff, even though it's all weird, non necessarily the most marketable sorts of music. The fact that I have a career being able to do all of this stuff is very cool. So I'm happy with that.
Absolutely.
Very cool.
Absolutely. Yes. And we could talk about Gabe's side projects alone all night. We're going to try and hit on them a little bit. You've played in Consider the Source for how long now?
Man, I don't even know, since college. We won our college battle of the bands, and which is always fun to say, because like that's like that was a very young thing for us. We won the Queen's College Battle of the Bands, and we got to open for Wyclef. So if anyone knows who Wyclef,
Oh yeah.
and if anyone knows the kind of music that we play, it was especially at the very beginning of us, when we were less refined. It was a wild meeting of like Balkan metal world music stuff opening for him in Queen's College. But the crowd was so responsive. That wasn't a crowd that we thought would have liked us, that it kind of gave us some perspective early on that like maybe more people could listen to this music than we thought originally. Because all my favorite bands I grew up seeing, with Tonic or the Knitting Factory, or these New York sort of venues, and like if 30, 40 people were there, it was a great show. So like that was like, and these are the guys that I consider like the greatest musicians and stuff. So to grow up seeing that, and then have maybe for some reason our version of this sort of stuff can reach more people, it seemed pretty lucky, and so we just kind of ran with it.
Yeah, and according to your bass player John Ferrara, you guys played a lot of improv in the early days.
Well, yeah, I mean, our very first show was we would have like motif and then improv. So our very first show, we did the Balkan folk tune that eventually we called "Do Not Shrink Me, Gypsy."
Okay.
It's originally called Makedonski Rushanica, which means Macedonian Dance in Seven. But all the songs have boring names like that, so we give them funny names. And we played that, and then we played our a medley of a Turkish folk tune called Uskudar that we would go into a Tool song called 46 and 2, and then a straight improv. And each one of these like 20 minutes long, so we would kind of play the medley, the head, like the and then just improvise for the rest, and then somehow find our way back to it. So that's kind of how we started, was more way more improvisational. And then I remember like when we had the first song that we ever wrote that was like a composition that had no improv. It was like, is this a step we want to take? It was like, and we've definitely, now half the stuff we do is all composed, without large improv sections, but at first it was not that way.
Right.
Wow.
Right. Well, now you have a new release out.
Yes.
You recorded in 2020 down in Asheville, North Carolina. And Lawrence, do you have a clip of the one song I sent you? Because we're doing all this talking, and some people might not have actually heard the band.
Yeah.
Well, so this is going to be like the most heavy version of what we do. Like our last album was acoustic.
Yes.
Or like a hybrid album where it was mostly acoustic, and even the electric parts are way quieter. So when we came back with this album, we decided that we were going to go in the opposite direction and try to put out one of our heaviest albums. So, this is one of our more our most metal parts you could have.
Oh, Mike, could you tell me the name of the? I have all the clips here. I just need to know which one.
What did I send you? Mouth Breather.
Yeah, I that title did strike me.
Yes.
Alrighty, so we are going to switch on over here to the video playing scene.
All right.
Apparently there's a band called Mouth Breather, but I didn't know about, so some people clicked it thinking it was that and ended up liking it, so that's cool.
All right, now, I loaded it up here. Now I got to play it. Hopefully this will all work. There we go.
There we go. Holy smokes.
Wow.
Incredible. Oh my God.
I thought I switched scenes back to.
And the that new release is just on fire from start to finish.
So that's the radio edit where like a bunch of minutes of jam was cut out. That's our 7-minute radio edit.
Yeah,
Wow.
right. Yeah, exactly.
At least they didn't edit it down to 4 minutes 30 seconds.
I mean, it's funny. Our two biggest songs are both over 12 minutes long in terms of just like numbers and stuff. So for the acoustic album, we had a song that was 2.5 minutes, and and in a major key and very catchy, and I was like, this is going to be the song that blows us up. Like it's great, it's super catchy, it's under 3 minutes long, and it didn't do that well. And then we put out this or like our Enemies of Magic, our song that's like 12 minutes, and it so it's like, I guess the people want the distance from us.
Well, it's also, I think people who are attracted to your music also want the full meal. And
Yeah.
what I was hearing in this piece is each section is kind of like just the right length. It has the ebbs and flows in the right spots, and it grows and then transitions just right. It's just like a perfectly sculpted sculpture of from beginning to end of sound, and it doesn't let you down anywhere. But it gives you changes of pace, so it's not just continually doing something and not getting off of it. It changes it, and you're interested in what's coming next, and it's just the right length. Although I'm sure the longer version probably you guys can stretch out a little bit more, but I mean there's
the sections that we cut are new sections. It's not like they're extended versions of the sections. It's like there's a end of a drum solo, and then like a super psychedelic guitar solo part that like has been a blast to play live. But yeah, we don't like to play the same part a lot. We don't want to just keep on changing all the time because you want to have a song, but at the same time, we don't like to beat a riff to death. If it's like, it's rare that we'll play a riff 8 times, but never 16. Sometimes we'll play 4 times, but like I would rather bring a riff back later than play it too many times once.
Right. And one of the amazing things I think is that you guys are able to capture that live feel.
Well, I mean, like a lot of that was live.
In the studio.
The solos are totally live. Like all of my solos in the studio are all live. Every one of them, except for like, I can think of 1 or 2 in the history of our albums that weren't me playing live with everyone. Which is for better or worse, because sometimes, like, how am I going to put this? Like some of our older albums the solos are the compositions I think were really high, but the jams were like this, whereas live we'd get them like that, so like finally eventually like on the double album was the first time we were able to get it where it was like more comfortable doing the live thing. And so lately the last couple albums, that's what we just have it like we record the song, and then for the long solos we'll just for at least my jam parts, we'll do it all live, and like if it's 5 minutes, maybe if there's like a blatant thing that's terrible and takes away from it, I'll see if I can fix it. But for the most part, leave it all in,
Yeah, and speaking of live, and I've heard a lot of people say this, consider the Source as a band to see live.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I'm amazed, and I've seen you guys a bunch of times, and I'm constantly telling you after the show, I don't know how you do it, but I'm more amazed every time I go. It's like you're building something. I don't know how to describe. It's indescribable. But one of the things that you guys are great at doing, and other people have said the same, is you get this buildup. It's like you're sitting in the audience and you don't think your brain is going to take any more intensity, and then wham, you kind of mellow it out, and then give us just enough time to catch our breath, and then bam, here we go again. And it's hard to describe in words. You just have to see it, but it's intense.
that's all. I really appreciate you saying that, because like sometimes, especially in our youth, we could err on the side of intensity, but like it felt natural for us to be doing everything we do feels kind of natural. And so I think as we grow and kind of mature as people, the music is going to grow and mature, and we're each trying to get better individually, enough that when we come together, this if each of us are, we were all into very different things, so it's not like any of the three of us are practicing really any of the same ballpark of stuff at all.
Right.
So that's why it's really cool that when we come together, it's not like everyone's been working on something that it's like I've been working on something over here and John's been working on something over there and Jeff. It's like they're totally not really related to each other, what we are all improving at. And I think that's one of the ways that the music just gets the better, is that since like we all just have more things to bring to the table. So we were doing an improv the other day, and like Jeff had like fell into like this reggae thing, and I was playing this like Azerbaijani tune over it, and like it worked so perfectly, and like it was not a thing that another group of three people would necessarily stumble upon, or if we had similar things, Jeff would have known what I wanted him to do for that sort of tune, and I would have known what he was expecting for that sort of rhythm. But I don't know how to play reggae, and he doesn't know Azeri music. So, like the fact that together we can make a thing that just is like representing how we all play is one of the coolest things about the band, that we can all bring what we bring to the table and works together.
Now, Mike, before you continue, I wanted our audience to know that Gabriel's website, GabrielMarinMusic.com. The link is in the description, so you could definitely follow that after the stream.
I need to get that more. You could also Instagram is good for now. The website will be good starting soon. I get a lot of clicks on it. I just haven't updated it in a while. I'm better about Instagram. So, but
okay,
don't do that.
Well, the Instagram links are right at the top of the website. You have the icons in the top right for all the social media. So, folks, check them out. And is there any place you'd like people to go to like find your music? I guess it's probably on like Spotify and other sources, Apple Music.
As of right now, most of the stuff that I put out is with CT, is with Consider the Source. I have one solo album that I put out. That's very much the opposite of the one song you heard. It's very calm and quiet, all Eastern stuff, all improvised music.
I think we're going to hear one song from it later.
Awesome.
Yes.
And then I have a new band that I'm right about to really have a lot happen with next year. And then also in the middle of next year, I have another new thing that I've been working on for a while. A new band coming out. And then in the fall, so I go to Tajikistan because of my Dutar stuff, and I've been on like national state television a few times out there and met with like Minister of Culture and do stuff for like the embassy. So I have a cool thing happening out there, and I have an album in the works with like the greatest Central Asian Dutar player in the world. He's one of the best famous musician named Sirojiddin Juraev. He's like, when he comes to New York or America, he plays like Carnegie Hall or Lincoln Center. Like he's one of the greatest musicians. And so we have an album of like Tajik, my sort of music fusion stuff that will be coming out in the summer. And then hopefully if we can get him a green card, it's very hard to get Tajik people green cards. But if we can get him in a green card in the fall, we'll be doing a tour of that ensemble, which is really exciting.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited.
And just so folks know, the YouTube channel for Consider the Source is actually called Consider the Music. But I have the link in the description. Just wanted to clear that up.
Sort of stuff linked for my personal stuff. I link it all up there too.
Okay, cool.
There you go.
All right, Mike, go ahead. I just want to make sure people could find Gabriel's work.
I appreciate that. I'm terrible at that. Like I had in October, I had all of these crazy gigs doing stuff, that was like really, really awesome world music gigs. And then I realized that like, you know, my website and stuff wasn't linking. And I was like, oh, this is so dumb. I just played for, you know, so many new people that really love my stuff. And now they're going to go Google it and not find like most of my stuff. But yeah, I'm not great at the modern having to be promoter and musician and all that stuff too.
Yeah, well, I always say I suck at promoting myself too. So,
Yeah.
but I don't know if anyone else is intrigued about this guitar as I am. I'm absolutely fascinated. And it's one of two guitars like it?
It was one
in
of
the
one.
world?
One of one.
That's what I thought. Okay, one. So I'm going to let you take stage. And why don't you tell us about your guitar?
So, yeah. On that last video, I was mostly playing the fretted neck. I played some of the fretless. I think we have a song by my other band linked to come up where you'll see more of this. So basically, like, Reader's Digest version. I think that's very dated. I don't think kids know what Reader's Digest is. They say like, what's that one? TLD, or too long, didn't read, or something like that. So the short version is fretless guitar, fretted guitar, both 6 strings. I keep these guitars in normal tuning, just tuned down a half step, normal tuning, but like not a weird open tuning. And then I have a single neck over there. I'm sure at some point I'll show the rest of the instruments, but I have a single neck just like this that I keep in an open tuning to play with some of the different, you know, ethnic guys I play with, different stuff. I use my little signature pick over here. Where's the thing? They're gigantic. They say my name, but they're super thick. They're 4 millimeters, which is like way thicker than a normal guitar pick, but it works for, you know, some of the stuff so, you know, so this bottom neck is a normal guitar. So you could play, you know, so it has like, you know, and then this top one is a fretless guitar, which so I can have them more. So between those two guitars, I can get like all the notes. I can do all the microtonal stuff here. You know, I can quarterceps. What'd you say?
We got a little bit of feedback there, I think. No, it
Oh,
wasn't
sorry,
you.
that was me Oh, I was just turning on my microphone and I have the audio running in the back. But Gabriel, I have a question. Is that a metal fingerboard?
Yes.
A metal? Yes. And so does that kind of give you like an open string sound even when you're pressing down on the
And honestly,
string?
it doesn't sound different than my original double neck, which was wood. The sound isn't that different. You know, if you listen from album to album, it wasn't like, oh snap, the metal neck has a different sound. You know, it's more because if it's more like.
Oh, that's smooth. I
You know,
love
so
that
that
sound.
And you know, if I was to play that same sort of stuff on the fretted neck, same scale or something, you know. It still sounds, you know, it doesn't sound like the normal guitar when I play, you know?
Right. Is there any advantage to having a metal fingerboard?
Yeah, so one, the neck won't ever bend. I've had this guitar for 4 or 5 years and I haven't needed like a truss rod adjustment yet. So
Nice.
there's that. Also, like on my other one, it would get dinged up because of my nails. So every year and a
Okay.
half, I'd have to get it resurfaced.
Hmm.
So this
Okay.
one stays, unless something very bad happens, this one will stay totally, totally good.
Okay. So it's a durability thing, not so much a sound thing.
No, and also it represents just like an evenness. It's the
Oh, nice.
it's totally smooth. So when I'm doing like the other one was easier because I had lines. They were just drawn on, but
Right.
they were there. But so now at this point, so if I'm doing a microtone, I have to be able to, know where between the notes it goes and stuff. But that's fine.
Yes,
Oh, wow.
my wife Liza
Fine, but it's not
actually.
easy.
My wife
No,
Liza,
I know it's not easy at all. No.
yeah,
How
Yeah.
Liza
many people?
makes cigar box guitars, so she's into the crafting. But I don't think she'll be working with metal necks anytime soon.
Well, also the necks themselves are either 80/20 or 90/10 wood carbon composite.
Oh,
So
okay.
Okay.
even the bottom neck has no truss rod either. So both of the necks together are a different, more like futuristic thing.
Okay.
Cool
And
beans.
then I also have, if you can see these, I have MIDI pickups.
Oh,
Oh.
wow.
So I can do a cool bunch of cool MIDI stuff when I have that rig set up.
Hmm.
And so a lot of the time you see us live, it sounds like a trombone or a saxophone, or
Yes.
with your keyboards and stuff on our albums and stuff, and it's not keyboards, so generally in a lot of our albums we'll say no keyboards used on the making of this album, which is something I got from Rage Against the Machine albums back in the day. He would say that because he did all the stuff that sounds like a DJ, and I do all the stuff that sounds like a wind player or a keyboard player.
That is
Right.
super cool. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I've heard
Love
that on
for
one
you,
of your
Tech.
pieces.
Yeah, and you
Yeah,
got,
like,
they'd probably
Yeah.
be interested in, you got a Roland and a Boss. So he's got one MIDI.
Well, they're different. Both of my MIDI synths are Roland. My Boss synth is a non-MIDI synth.
Right,
That
right.
one works with a normal quarter-inch cable.
Yeah, so he's got the best. He's got both worlds going on there.
Yeah, so I can have like a synth coming from my guitar, and then a synth coming from my synth that are different.
hmm
So I can get a lot of sounds.
Yeah, and you got what,
Yes.
five hookups?
Well, also then if you see these things that look like the bat wings under the pickup, these are infinite sustain pickups, and so I have to power those. So I actually have a power adapter that I have to keep in my pocket while we play, that I plug into the floor, that plugs into the guitar to give power to the guitars.
Yeah, and
Mm.
those pickups are not even on the market.
No,
They're still in development. They've been in development for God knows how many years. But
they're going to get worse now because the tariffs are originally what caused them to get bad in the first place. The parts just became too expensive for the guy to get from China, so
Oh, yeah.
it's a bit scary. These are the only two like it. But
it's truly
Scott Holvid. Oh, I'm sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, Scott just had a quick question. He's wondering how much that instrument
Oh,
weighs.
a lot
Oh, okay.
more than a Les Paul.
Oh goodness.
Okay.
So I have a Les Paul that I borrow too, and this is not double a Les Paul, but like a Les Paul plus a thing.
Hmm.
yeah.
So-
There's another
Yeah.
question about you on your old guitar. You had a sustainer pickup on it.
Yeah, I had the Fernandez Sustainer. That was cool too. This is different because I can do multiple notes at once. And I just have a little more. This one just a little bit more control. With the Sustainer, I also ended up using the EBO a lot for a lot of the stuff that I needed.
Okay.
So I used to have a stand on stage with the EBO and I would use the EBO for like 30-40% of our show. And now I don't have to do that. But on my single neck, I still have to use the EBO though. So when I do stuff with the single neck, then the EBO comes into play again.
Well, for those of us like I play a little bit of guitar, but mostly I'm a saxophonist and synth guy. What does the sustainer pickup provide for you?
Well, just sustain. Guitar dies. If I play a guitar note, it's done. If I have
Yeah.
the sustainer pickup on, it just burn. It just goes as long as my finger.
So, why do you use the EBO then?
It stands for electronic bow.
Yeah, I know what it stands for, but I mean, and I know what it is, but I'm just wondering if you have a pickup that's already doing
Well, I
that.
don't use it on this guitar. I'm saying on my other guitars that don't have it.
Oh, okay. I was like, I thought
Right.
I misunderstood. I thought you were using it on the one with
On
the
my
sustainer
original double
pickup.
neck for all of those years that I had that, because I had that guitar for like 13 years since the band started. And
Okay.
so for all of those years, I would either have like a little music stand with the EBO, I would keep it in my pocket, I would keep it on my pedal board, I'd keep it on the amp. Some show when there was a particular show when I was using like every other song, or to have a table. If there's something I was using 2 or 3 times a set, I'd put it on the amp or my pedal board or something.
Okay.
One of my students has a cool thing because he uses it where he figured out he has like a piece of Velcro on a strap, so he'll just like, which is pretty cool.
Oh, it
Okay.
is. That is. Well, and Gabriel helped me with the EBO during the lesson one time too. So it
I
is
do a
not.
lot. Honestly, the EBO is really special. On my single neck, I use it a lot too. And the EBO drives the string hotter. The sustain pickups doesn't really drive the string hot, which is really nice because it doesn't change your tone. But the EBO definitely changes your tone, which is pros and cons. The pro is that I can do some really cool stuff with that altered tone. So
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Well, before we venture down to the acoustic side of things, we do want to mention, and I think he has a video, the Social Assassins, another
Yeah.
hot band
yeah,
where you actually have another guitar player. So why don't you tell us
yeah.
about that band there?
So this band is so funny. We're gonna put out our first album. I recorded this album in 2019 with a slightly different lineup, pre-pandemic, um, and was like gonna all gung ho, like gonna book a tour in like July 2020. Had that shit all ready to go, and so I haven't really. And then some people moved away that were in that band, and so I had to put it back together, and it's going really what I put it back together as. I'm very happy with the way the guys get along, the way everyone sounds. It's really lucky. So
Yeah, they're great guys.
band is really good. This first album that we're putting out in January, the drummer is this guy named Torch, unbelievable drummer. Played in a band called Conspirator with some of the guys from the Disco Biscuits, and he wrote like a book that was about how to do trap style drums on drum set that was doing great. And so he's not. I had written the album around me, and then this drummer, and the other guitar player on this album is a guy named Andy Pitcher, who's really great guitar player, does really cool pedal stuff, and like is one of the coolest guitar players with pedals and stuff. So when the band started, to go even further, I put out a solo album by myself a few years ago where I did 3 different bands. I did like a pop group, I did like a Middle Eastern metal group, and I did this Social Assassins thing. And it was just a trio at that point. And I listened. There's no way that the songs would ever work live without. I did too many overdubs. There was just no way that it needed another person to play the rhythm guitar parts live, And so I got Andy to do it for when the band first started, and then when he got a really great job for Diodario and stuff. So and Torch moved to California during COVID. So I got this new drummer, Marco, who was just on tour with Greg Howe and Mohini Day. So he's a monster. And one of my old students, Sage, is on rhythm guitar, and he's great, great dude, great guitar player. And Nick, the bass player, is like he plays one of the like. It's really crazy because he plays like in the New York jazz scene, upright mostly, with all of these guys that I listen to. Like he plays like Peter Evans and Ravi Coltrane and Dave Liebman and like crazy
Oh,
stuff,
wow.
And so And I always tell everyone, because in this band he plays pretty awesome, but like simple what the song calls for, electric bass. And I'm always like, you don't know how much of a killer this guy is on upright. Like he's monster on the upright. So it's a cool group, and I didn't get to do much with it this year because I was overseas a lot for this year. I was out of the country for like 4 months basically playing. And that's a long time. I didn't realize how long that was going to be, but it does not feel like December right now because I got back in middle of like end of March. I came back, and I was also gone for a large chunk of July. So it's kind of like, my whole sense of timing is totally off right now. So I didn't get to do much with the new band this year, but next year gonna be hitting it real hard with the Assassin stuff. So we've got an album coming out in January, and then probably gonna drop a second album with the new lineup in like October. So probably have 2 albums of Assassins come out next year.
Nice.
All right. So I believe this is what you want me to play, Mike.
Yep, looks like it.
All right, here we go.
1, 2, 3.
All right, I was waiting to make sure it was over there, but you have
Yeah.
great attention to form and proportion.
Thank
I
you.
heard both pieces, but we had kind of a question there. Although Flav, thank you for the super chat. As always, one of our regulars, Flav, had a question
Yes,
that I think
thanks.
was kind of answered, but just to be sure, he sees you switching power ports. He said,
Well,
and
that was just I didn't have both necks plugged in, or like that. I had all my stuff was plugged in this video.
yeah, so there's really no difference in sound when they're both plugged in. It's
No,
just
it's
they both work.
I have foot switches. I have 3 pedal boards, with a bunch of volume pedals and AV boxes to control everything. So I have like a volume pedal that's guitar, I have a volume pedal that's MIDI. I have AV boxes to go back and forth to blend everything, and so
Hmm.
that's why like halfway through that jam, I brought like that oboe sound in. You know, normally I'll start the jam with like just like a wind sound, and then I'll slowly fade the guitar sound in, then I'll fade out the wind sound and go to like distorted guitar or something from there.
Yeah,
Wow.
I posted now it's 5 years old, so Gabe's rig's probably changed a little bit, but there's a great video out there. I think it's like 40 minutes long, and I posted the link to it of his rig rundown. It is
Yeah, it's
fascinating.
slightly different now, but the concept is similar. It's
Yes,
very similar. It's just that was bigger. I have a smaller rig pedal board now, but it's but everything else works the same. It's just a bit smaller.
Wow.
right. Yeah, well, things change and depending on where you go, and I
Yeah,
know
yeah,
you're getting ready to go out to Colorado for a few gigs.
yeah. It
So,
was also just like some not every pedal was like necessary, and I just like it's not like I have less. It's just like I crammed things together. I was like, oh, there's some dead space on this board, so I was able to get. I like the small thing. I have a Diodario endorsement, um, and so they make a new pedal board that I was like, and I was like, oh, let's try it out, and it actually ended up being a little bit smaller than I was expecting, but I'm able to fit enough on that it's kind of nice to see work with that limitation for now. You know,
right, right.
it's not like a small by any stretch of the imagination. It's just small compared to the giant thing that I had before.
Hmm.
Exactly. And then you go from the world of electric to acoustic.
And not acoustic, but 2 strings. So I go from a double neck with crazy futuristic technology and 3 pedal boards to just 2 strings, and that's it. So it's kind of I'm kind of a man of extremes in a lot of ways, and so I go from the very most futuristic version of stuff to in some ways like the I don't want to say primitive, but I'll say oldest. You know,
Yeah,
because 1 string is not enough, but 2 strings is definitely enough.
yeah. And I remember, one of our early lessons, I asked you about if you'd ever experimented around with electronics and the acoustic stuff, and you said, "Nah, I don't like to." So yeah, you go from one world to another.
Yeah, and and I've actually like in the studio I've messed around, so I'm definitely going to do some stuff at some point where I add some effects to like these 2 string instruments, but I feel right now like no one knows these instruments, no one knows these countries. No, like I feel like
Hmm.
my guitar playing sounds so far from what a guitar normally sounds like. At least let my Dutar playing somewhat sound like fingers on strings for a while, and then
Hmm.
after I've established the sound of this instrument to people, then maybe I can twist it a bit.
And, well, and speaking of which, you have a couple instruments next to you. Why don't
I
we
do.
just pick
I do.
one and start there?
Easier to hold on a second. Let's so yeah. So we'll start. This one that I have next to me closest is it's a form of Dutar called a Dombra from Kazakhstan. It has one, it has 2 strings, but actually it has 1 string that starts up here and then loops down under that and comes back up. So there's 2 strings to play on, but technically it's only one actual string.
Hmm.
Which is weird, I don't exactly know but like they've been playing this instrument for a very long time. I'm sure there's a reason.
It's a
Yeah,
very
so
old instrument.
very old, like nomad sort of instruments. So Kazakh are So in Central Asia, where a lot of the Dutars come from, there's some settled people that had empires, and then there's nomadic groups. So some of these instruments have empire history, and they're maybe made with silk strings and different things, or some of these are nomad. And this is very much a nomad instrument. And so the songs that you play on this are called Kui, and they're like story songs. They're supposed to tell like a story, and there's a famous Kazakh tale that like a Khan, like a ruler, would kill anyone that like gave him bad news, and so his son died in battle, and no one wanted to tell him. So a dombra player went and sat in front of him, played a song, and by telling the story of that, the Khan understood that his son was killed, and so he poured molten lead into the dombra to kill it, because it was the one that had told him that his son was dead, not the guy that played it. So that's just like a cool tale of like the importance of these instruments,
Absolutely.
and how much instrumental music can still tell.
Yeah.
So I'll just play a little bit to show like the variety of tone you can put out.
Absolutely.
Wow, I love it. It's like at times you could hear almost like a built-in arpeggiator, and at times the snare effect and the percussive sound. It's beautiful.
And that's two strings,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I always tell people.
Gorgeous.
That, not to be fooled by the two-stringed aspect of it. That the right hand techniques are unbelievable, and
there's so much difference. For example, if I'm playing with my finger pad as opposed to my nail, very different, first of all. And so there's different combinations of finger things for dance music. That 3+3+2 rhythm that's very universal. The So you can kind of get this hand becoming like a drum, and so this becomes like a rhythm sort of. And then so with my left hand, I can add all sorts of stuff to this, Or the other one, a three, like a.
Amazing.
But it sounds like there's a snare rattle sort of effect there. How's that happening?
If I flam my fingers into the body. But if I
Okay.
don't, so that's with a flam,
Yeah.
without the flam. Flam. So for accent marks, I'll do. So if I just use my ring finger, and now if I add, that's I can add like accent marks. You know, I'm playing
Oh yeah.
very fast. You know.
Yeah, it's a very percussive instrument. If
Yeah,
you want,
especially this one, because this
yeah,
one you play hard. Other ones you have to, like the next one I'll show is very gentle. You have to play gentle. This is one that you can rewards. You know, that sort of like horse. That sort of horsey
Yeah.
Wow.
sort of rhythm like that. You know.
Yeah, I believe Mike mentioned that in our medieval instrument series when I played an
yes,
example.
yes, yeah, and yeah, they put this instrument in small children's hands. They start from a very young age, so
The neck is
we got a
very
lot of catching up to do.
Yeah.
the neck is very thin. It's
Yeah.
a very thin sort of neck. Even as far as my dutars go, this is probably so. When you play the lower string, your thumb goes onto the bottom. So like let's say there are like two main tunings, fifths or fourths tuning.
Yeah, that's another aspect of it, using your thumb.
And so, for example, for this tune, I'm gonna I'll show you. I'll play a second, but you'll see how my thumb will move the I don't know. Let me get a better angle for that. Let's see. My thumb will move the harmony on the bottom string. So you see how my thumb moving there has that sound like that.
Yeah, definitely unique to those type of instruments.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't see people doing that with a guitar.
You do see some dude, Jimi Hendrix would do stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
Sometimes
yeah,
big hand, like certain rhythm guys would maybe reach their thumb around to play like the low string on a thing, but it's not. It's not a correct technique. Whereas in this instrument, that is the the way of playing this sort of, and that is how you do it.
Alrighty.
yeah. It's a fascinating instrument. And then you got
This one is so this is how that sort of instrument evolved. This instrument, as I mentioned before, sometimes I'll have a three that has three strings, and this is one where so this is like a dutar on the outside, and then in the middle there's a drone string added. So most of the playing we do is on the outside, bottom string and top string, and the middle string rings along, which is interesting because normally you'd put the drone on the bottom, but since we use the thumb on the bottom, the drone has to stay in the middle so the drone can keep on ringing. And if you also notice this one, the frets are unevenly spaced. There's microtonal frets. So for example, if I play the second, what would be the major second degree on this, that's not a tempered major second. Same thing if I play what would be considered the major sixth. So both the second and the sixth degree on this instrument are flatted. Or raised, depending. But if you're looking at them as a major situation, they're flatted a bit. But it's just part of the nature of this instrument. So let me play a bit on this.
Nice.
I remember the first piece I heard was something Mike. Well, he mentioned your name, and I looked you up, and the first thing I found actually was a performance you did at something called The River Will Provide Studio on
Yeah, that's our
YouTube.
friend in Rhode Island. Shout out to them.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So, do you have any album releases that are acoustic?
Yeah, my solo album Ruminate is this
Okay,
sort of stuff.
all right.
Um, if you like this element, that I have a solo album that I use this instrument, I use that other one on. And then with Consider the Source, we have an album called Such as a Mule, which is our hybrid album, which I use these instruments with our, with the acoustic bass and drum set and stuff like that. So that is our album where we do that in a song context. But yeah, my solo album is this sort of improvised slow sort of stuff for this. So I'm just plugging my phone in 1 second.
That's good. Just want our audience to know.
There we go.
Yeah, it's called Ruminate. It's excellent, and
Yeah.
I believe
So I use this. So this one, and one more thing about this is, if you look at it, the way it's carved out of one piece of wood. And so sometimes this instrument
Mm,
is called Balta Sazi, and Balta means axe. So it's sometimes called axe saz because it's made out of one piece of wood, whereas something like this is made out of strips of wood put together.
right. Yeah, oh man, my memory is bad. We covered an instrument in our medieval series that was made out of one piece of wood that was, I forget the name of it.
yeah,
But this isn't the neck and the body. See the neck joins there.
Uh-huh.
So
right.
the body is one thing, and then there's a very, very, very thin. Like this is a very light, thin, responsive instrument. And it's interesting because having the second and the sixth, having those as microtonal scale degrees, it makes sense. And I have another Dutar instrument that actually has a similar conceptual thing where you have this one where it's the same thing where the second and the sixth are microtonal.
So they're like a quarter tone
Not
lower.
quite a quarter tone, but it's like so. So you hear those notes are sort of like a. Wait, let me get in tune first before you hear them. Yeah, second. So you see that like having that second
Yeah.
altered is a very common sort of sound for these instruments.
Yeah, but for people that grow up in the cultures with these tunings, that must be just second nature with repetition. But for us, it's
I
like
mean, for
sounds so beautiful, but I would be like struggling to keep in tune.
yes, to see at this point, I'm very used to hearing those because even in the
Yeah.
Balkan stuff, because of how the Turkish invasionness of it. Like for example, this is Albanian. This is an Albanian instrument.
Oh yeah.
They're not Slavs, but they count in the Balkan Eastern European continuum. That like
Mm-hmm.
you get that sound even there comes from the Turkish stuff. So like the Bosnians and like we'll have on some of the other stuff we'll have like and the other Balkan stuff we'll have pieces where the second and the sixth can be smushed like that.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's amazing how many different types of dombras, dutars, in different names regionally across, and a lot of them have 2 strings or 3 strings. But yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
Just amazing. And some have nylon strings, some have silk strings, some have steel strings.
Yeah, the silk string ones are they break. For the silk string breaks a lot. The plastic strings like they used to be gut, like animal gut strings, and they replaced that now with like the fishing wire sort of stuff, and same thing with the silk strings. I replace like I'll use the silk ones if I'm in the studio, but for live and other stuff I'll use I guess it's plastic, you would say. It's like the kind of feels like the top two strings of a classical guitar, that sort of material.
Mm.
Yeah, the nylon
Yeah,
strings.
nylon, I guess, sounds better than plastic.
Yeah.
But
I heard that the silk strings, though, have a deeper, more mellow tone than nylon. Is that true?
Yeah, so they definitely, it has a fuller, richer tone without question. Um, so that's why in the studio, where like you can really appreciate that sort of stuff. That's why I'll make sure that I use the nylon, the silk strings in the studio. But in the live setting, where you're not getting the purest tone of the instrument, um,
Right,
it's not worth it because they break without you even playing them. Like I'll
right, right.
wake up in the morning and just one had broken overnight. So whereas so it's kind of like it's not worth it because it is better, but it's not like night and day better.
yeah, I have
Okay.
right on the wall. I don't even have to play them.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Right, and it was great because I had this album that's recording from Tajikistan stuff, and I was just like, please let the silk strings not break until I'm done, please, And then the 2 days after I was done recording, my last one broke on it overnight, and I woke up when it was broken. I was like, all right, got it
Yeah.
in. At least I got it in. So
yeah. There you go. There you
yeah,
go.
then but the plastic strings are honestly like feel better. The silk strings have a little more gusto on the right hand. So I honestly found that playing the plastic, the nylon strings is a little more. If you get the right gauge, it's a little bit more relaxing on the right hand.
Right, right. And I think if I remember right, the on I had one video of you playing improv on Rain. I believe you're playing the Persian Dutar on that one, if I
That's
remember right.
that's my tan board. That's my tan board, which is basically
Was
like
it a
it's
tambour?
it's the same thing as a dutar, except the top string is doubled. But it's the playing technique is different, but it's the same. Um, like hold on 1 second. Why talk about them when I have it? Let's take 1 second. Like
There
uh,
you go.
yeah. So like as far as them go, this would be like a Persian a dutar from like Khorasan province in Iran, and here you'll see that this also here you see that sixth degree is raised a bit. So the
Yeah.
frets, if you look, the frets here for that first fret is longer than the rest of them. But this has a very plain, nice, beautiful. It's a very pure, simple sounding instrument.
Hmm.
Body's very thick as opposed to the other one. The body of this one, you can tell, has a lot of gusto on it. And then this one, same sort of thing. Wait. So you see, this one is the same, but the top string is just a double. So it's still a two string.
Oh, okay.
Top one has. So there's a different resonant quality because of that.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
And they all have slightly different right hand techniques and stuff like this. This technique is very specific just to this instrument. Um, There's not another instrument that has that thing.
Right.
And just for any of our audience members who are wondering, from our medieval instrument tournament, the instrument that I forgot earlier, the single piece of wood string instrument is called the gittern, Gittern, and basically not in the same family as the guitar line, but similar.
Yeah, that one's kind of similar. Yeah, I remember that now.
Yeah, the guitar comes from the oud.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
The all oud came to Europe and became the lute when they added frets
Right.
to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That is correct.
And
Yes,
then
we had the lute made it to the final, but got knocked out by the hurdy-gurdy.
I mean, hurdy-gurdy's mad. The lute. There are certain instruments in the world that are. There's a lot of things similar to them. They all have their own unique flavors, but these dutars, right there, they have their own unique ones. But there's certain instruments in the world that are outliers that like only one or two like. And there's a Vietnamese instrument I play called the dan bao. That's one string, and as far as I know, there's no other instrument. You play harmonics and you use a bar to control them, and I don't know another culture that figured that out. Same thing with like the hurdy-gurdy and like the nickel harper. Those are the only two with that wheel-based sort of psychic thing that's like so psychedelic sounding. You know, it's
Yeah.
like that. Indians with the crazy sympathetic strings. An instrument like the sarangi has 50, 100 sympathetic strings. These are things that pre-effects
Wow.
somehow people figured out a way of getting that like sort of almost psychedelic sort of sound, you know?
Oh, wow.
Right. Right. And why don't you tell them about? Yeah, you studied Hindustani guitar in India,
Hmm.
and I'll let you say his name because I get it bad. I
What?
think, well, you got that
The
handy.
name of your teacher.
Yeah, I think he's actually grabbing the instrument.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, what did you say?
I said I will let you say his name because I don't want to get it wrong.
Oh, Debashish Bhattacharya.
There you go.
Oh, wow.
He's very well known in India for this instrument.
But he plays it on his lap.
But he plays it. Yeah, there you go. He plays it on lap with a slide. So it's often also referred to as Hindustani slide guitar.
Huh.
Oh, the
Okay.
Charangi. That's the. But so this is the only one that was made for me that's fretless. I wasn't aware I was going to play this one, so.
I wasn't either, but it's a treat. Thank you.
That is so cool.
Yeah, so yeah, this was special made for him because he doesn't use the slide, he does it with his fingers.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible.
It has that more North Indian sort of.
Oh, yeah.
So
And
this
you-
traditionally, I'm sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
I was just going to say you're planning on using this in some future endeavors, aren't you?
Inshallah, one day, if I can, it's one of these catch-22s where the instrument needs some work to be playable, but also I also need to put in the work to make myself feel like I can play it well enough, so one day
Understood.
a situation will arise where this is the right instrument, and I will get it fixed up and give it the. If I just a couple of weeks, if I put some time into it, I'd be comfortable with it.
There you go.
So one day, I'm sure the project will arise where this becomes the thing that I need to play.
Liza, you had a question?
Oh, I just wanted clarification. So traditionally, that instrument is played with a slide?
On your lap, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which makes a lot more sense because the metal bar has a lot more projecting power than my fingernails.
Okay. Okay. Very cool. You have a
Also,
very,
and
yeah.
these rhythm strings that are here, he could put them on this side, and so when he's doing fast stuff, if I'm doing fast stuff, I gotta like skip like big ass
Right.
jump, or here I can kind of do like a little like. But it's very hard, and so he has it so he can just do that more naturally.
Oh, but you're making it work. So very cool. No, I had a question about I mean you have very flexible hearing. Is it do most guitarists that have trouble getting into these other instruments just because of the different tuning, non-Western tuning?
Well, it really depends because some of them don't have it. Like this guy, for example, like this one that I'm next to me here. This has tempered tuning. It's not a tuning
Okay.
because I was leaning against the wall, but
So a lot of these instrument builders have adopted equal temperament?
well, so Russia invaded Central Asia and took over large chunks of the former huge empires that ruled Central Asia. Kind of fell into disarray by the end of like the 1700s, and so the middle of the 1800s, the Russians were able to extract vengeance for 1,000 years of the Central Asians abusing them, and it was their turn to not be nice, and they took over Central Asia, and so accordions, pianos, the concept of 12 even notes went to the former Soviet
Okay.
republics, the then Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, all those places. So once the concept of the 12th thing came in, frets got added to a lot of these instruments. That are like so. The only, in fact, it's kind of funny, and I don't know this is fact, but it's my theory. As someone that I have about 20 Dutars, and I have one that's fretless that is from Afghanistan, of all places,
Cool.
and it's called from the group of people in Afghanistan called the Hazara, who are Central Asian. They're not like Afghanis. They're Central Asian, and so this is their Dutar, and it's fretless. And I think the reason that it stayed fretless is because they were the only people to not get taken over by the Russians.
Huh.
So that kind of makes sense to me as to why this one still, has a. So that still has the fretlessness.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Because this is a really special instrument. One of our fans' fathers or uncle was, he comes from a military family and has stayed there and worked with the Hazara people. Like, has been there for like 20 years and showed them a video of me playing Dutar. And the instrument maker of the village made this for me. And when
Wow.
back to visit his family in America, he brought this for me. So this is like made by a Hazara guy in
Wow.
Sharif, Afghanistan, and very special. I never thought I'd be able to get one of these. It's a war zone. It's not a very easy
Right.
place. This summer, I was like very close to Afghanistan when I was in Tajikistan. I was in a part that was very, very close to the border, but so this special instrument in that respect.
Am I
So-
seeing it properly? There's no tone hole?
Most of them don't have tone holes.
Oh,
This
okay.
surprisingly has one little hole on the back.
Okay.
Wow.
Look at them. Most of them don't really have tone holes, or they have very small ones. Some of them have like pinpricks almost in patterns. But
Mm-hmm.
looking around, like my Uyghur Dutar, the Persian one, they don't really have sound holes.
Mm.
If you look at like this one has, they have it in weird places. Like this guy has it like on the on the bottom. There's like two there, and then like in between the necks, there's like dots here facing out.
Wow, that's an
So
amazing.
they're different. Like
Yeah.
so for these like small instruments, like they don't really have them. Because like what is this? What's this facing? This one sideways. So
Wow, that's a beautiful instrument.
That one's custom made.
this was made for me too. This is a 3-string on top and 2-string on the bottom.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Someone said, I think you like two necks, so.
Well, honestly, I got this one because I'm too big to play one of these. Like this is like a rural Turkish farmer instrument, not a large Slavic man instrument. And so if I just had this top neck, I was like, I can't play this. So the guy was like, I can make both of them. I couldn't just end up to you together. And I was like, that's the way to go. And it's just so I look like a giant in pictures playing this one, but it actually feels way nicer than if I just had one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And that one was used on the hybrid album.
Yeah. This one is used on the hybrid album. And if there's a future hybrid album, when there's a future hybrid album, definitely on that.
I hope so, but yeah, some people, I saw the hybrid show. I loved it because I love what you guys do. Some people did not like the sit down environment. They wanted to dance. I think that was the deal that some people had.
I go to sit down shows like exclusively, so I'm not used to that. But this one is cool because like this was 2 strings, but they're 2 double strings. You know what I'm saying? So this one has 2 double strings. So even it's 2 strings, it kind of has a nice jangly sort of quality to it. So having the 2 strings but doubled adds something different for this one.
Wow.
Nice.
I just want to make sure here because you mentioned before we streamed that you had a studio.
Yeah, I was just about to say.
No, I'm still good. I don't have. I'm good. My studio's
Okay.
All
right.
All right, Mike, go ahead.
Well, there you go. Well, man, he's doing a good job there. You want to play that one? Plug his that song "Rain."
Rain.
I think
Okay.
that's a short.
thing is, it's so funny because on my bands and stuff have very funny song names. That's something that always been. We play instrumental stuff, and so in general with Consider or with the Assassins and stuff like that, our song names are pretty great, if I say so myself. And for the solo album, it didn't feel right at all to do that because they were all so I was like, all right, I'm gonna come up with the most simple one word sort of names, and that was so much harder for me than coming up with these elaborate funny names. I have a million of those. John has a million of those. We have all those written down.
Oh, yeah.
So it's funny. So I don't remember. Sometimes people I don't remember which one is Rain. So I'll be surprised when you play it.
There you
Hello.
go.
What up to you? What is that? Great Lakes Tissue Culture? Talk about names.
Is this somebody that knows you? I guess. Maybe.
Maybe just a wanderer on the streaming side of things.
Well, that's what we hoped for. So there you go.
All right.
I get recognized somewhat frequently in the weirdest of places in different countries in America. So I have I guess a somewhat distinctive look as a human. So I don't
Awesome.
Great Lakes Tissue Culture. That's a great name right there. So anyway, we're going to play Rain for you now.
Awesome.
And when I was looking it up, you mentioned names, and right at that moment I was looking in the list and Bad Boyle was there. And I was just wondering if that had something to do with, boiling some water and.
That's Blood Boy. Blood Boy.
Blood Boy. Blood Boy.
Blood Boy. How come it said? I thought it said Bad Boil.
Because I spelled boy BOI because I'm modern.
Oh, boy. All right.
That's a reference from a show called Silicon Valley. If anyone watched that show, there was an episode where like these old rich dudes were like you hire a young person and you get blood infusions from their young blood so you can live forever. And it's gross. And they were calling those dudes Blood Boys. And I was like, that's a great song name. So
Wow. Yeah, that's a little close to some things that may happen in the real world.
people are doing, no, that's a real thing. There's this cat who's like he's this billionaire guy who's all about trying to live forever. I forget his name. And he's doing all this gross shit and he just looks weird. And it's like, listen, man, the big guy gave us a finite thing here for a reason. Like it sucks and it's sad, but it's like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, I'm with you. I was being hesitant there at first. I didn't want to offend, but yeah, I've heard about this stuff too.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Man, look, I'm all pro
stay-
medicine. I'm pro.
Get off the kids.
gonna-
Get off the kids.
If they're gonna regrow our livers or our hearts or kidneys and stuff when we get older, great. I'm pro being able to extend the human life, but like
Not at the expense of
Not the expense of other people.
that's
Yeah.
also not the expense of other people, but also like like there's mentions of the necessity of meeting the afterlife at some point, so I'm not in a hurry by any stretch, but
Yeah. Neither
Right,
am
me
I.
either.
All right. So here we go. And Rain.
Yeah, I think it's over.
Okay, I was just not gonna. There could be a surprise coda coming. All right,
That was
Right.
but no, that's another
that
beautiful
was all
piece.
improvised. That was all improvised.
Yeah, that's what it says in the description. Improvised, I think, based on Rain.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same scale, same let's not, in so there's it's scale, but like in the different Eastern systems, Makam or Daska or whatever, like it's like a pathway through the scale. So it's the same Daska, which is like the Persian musical system, as Rain, which means so it's the same series of notes and it's the same way of progressing through them, but I improvised the way around it. So if you listen to Rain, you would hear similar motifs, and those are the motifs that are built into the scale. But the way it's just like it's a different trip through the same city, I guess.
Right.
Mm.
Well, I like it because you're sitting out in nature.
Yeah,
The big
which is not
city,
my
the big city guy.
not my natural habitat.
Yeah, no, that's what's nice about it.
Yeah,
Yes, the Brooklyn boy.
city boy, man. I'm as much of a city boy as you can be. I know the subway system like the back of my hand, but you put me outside and it's quiet and there's like trees and stuff, and I'm like, nah, I'm mad uneasy right now.
Which is funny because the other two guys, John and Jeff, they'll run out hiking, and John's always carrying his bass out somewhere, and God bless Emily, she helps him carry this stuff out into the woods, and yeah, so
In the subway,
yeah.
I've been riding the subway since I was a wee baby. I remember like I took in middle school. I was taking not the school bus, the New York bus to middle school solo. So.
Oh,
So
wow.
at one time, you guys all did live in New York, right?
Well, not Jeff. Me,
Well, yeah.
John, and our original drummer, they're from Queens, and I was from Manhattan. So we used to rehearse in Queens. So there was a minute where all three of us were very much, and like as strong as my New York accent can be, Justin, our original drummer, he out New York's my accent sometimes, and so that was the first time when we went go down south, he'd be like, "Oh man, like we speak double the speed and with like triple the curses of anyone else. Like let's reel this in a bit, fellas.
Yeah, he was. I've listened to some of the early recordings before Jeff, and yeah, he was definitely different.
He was great on the mic, man. He was. Me and him went to India together. But way back in the day. He was great drummer, great percussionist. Great dude. That was a fun time. Early times. Super. It was that was old days.
Right. Well,
But someone asked me about a quarter tone before, and I just want to show this.
Oh yeah.
This instrument here, if you see this neck, it's all messed up.
Nice.
So this
Oh,
one,
wow.
19 frets in the octave.
People like to make things for Gabe.
Luckily, if anyone's watching this wants to make me some stuff, I have some stuff I need made. So holler at me. But
Well, we have cigar box guitars here with my wife.
Well, that might be too basic for Gabe.
I play 2 strings. Nothing is too basic for me. If you
Oh, okay.
listen to this, like I go like up a chromatic scale on this, it would be.
Oh my goodness.
Hmm.
So that's where the octave repeats there.
Wow.
And for me, I don't like microtonal harmony. A lot of guys, Western guys that get into microtonal stuff, try to add it to like a harmony thing. And to me, that doesn't sound great. Like this, that's pretty. This. I don't love that.
Yeah.
But if I use that note as a melody note,
Mhm.
I think it's totally pleasant sounding. Same thing, like,
Yeah.
I was using a bunch of microtonal stuff, but didn't sound too weird there because of the way I was treating it with the harmony.
Mm.
And
Right.
it definitely takes some getting used to. Because
Yeah, but, like if I did something like this, would you guys think that this was weird sounding? So if you heard that, would you
That
be like,
had a little bit of Southern in it.
right? And so there, I had a major third that was noticeably flat, and a
Yeah.
seventh also. Both those notes are noticeably different, but if I'm playing a contest, it's okay. It doesn't feel that weird, at least to me.
Right.
Well,
right,
the
right.
bluesy stuff, well,
Wow.
I mean, old rustic blues, you get those microtones melodically. So it sounds, to me, it sounded perfectly natural.
Right, because
The,
you
yeah,
get like the
yeah.
or like the,
Mm-hmm, yeah.
but it's there. That sort of that. You have that giving that definitive quality is very interesting as a sound. But you're right. The old blues stuff had that old music from Mali or rural
Yeah,
Ireland use
yeah.
those sevenths and stuff like that.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
kind of lost that, yeah.
and it's a lot different when you're the one playing it. We have me and Gabe have stuck my toe in the water with the saz and the microtonal, and just the simple little exercise that he gave me to do. It took me a few days just to get used to the one microtonal note, and
And
because you're just not used to it. And then when you're playing it, and of course when you're trying to learn something, you're doing it slow.
Right.
So it really sounds like shit at first until you kind of get it going. And then you're like, then it only sounds halfway like shit. And then, eventually.
but it's one of those things where for us, Western wise, I can take or leave the microtones, and so I'll play a song tempered or I'll play a song with a second different, and I'm not like it's okay. I'm okay with either one. When I'm playing with like some of my Turkish friends or something like that, if the tune has a microtonal note and I don't do it, they really notice. And they're like, no, that's not the right note. And I'm like, oh, right, that isn't the right note. So for microtones for us can be a flavor or something like that, but they are just as cromulent of a pitch for them as
Right.
F half flat is just as much of a pitch as F natural is.
Yep. That's their tuning. They
Exactly.
know it. Yeah.
So if you're not doing it, it's not right. It's like you're mispronouncing the word.
I know.
Wow.
I remember I asked John one time, I said, so, because, he doesn't have a fretless bass for those that don't know. But anyway, I was like, so what do you do when Gabe starts getting into this microtonal stuff? And he said, well, I just do the best I can. He does a damn good job of it too.
Yeah, no, especially with the octaves being split. If he'll stick to notes like that, and like also I do it in ways that's like I've also learned what works and what doesn't work. And sometimes, if I want to be real weird, I know how to make it sound real weird, and I know how to make it be like, oh, this is a subtle microtone.
Right, right.
Yeah, I guess that's the way you craft a melody because you know what things are going to be kind of like slipping in and out of what the bass player can do.
Yeah, and so if it's a kind of thing where it's just like if there's a big chord, I'm not gonna do if I'm playing over like a seventh chord, I'm not gonna do a microtonally altered version of one of those notes. Right? But let's say I'm playing over a dominant seventh chord, I could go fifth, altered sixth, dominant seventh, no problem if I do it right. Because I can fit that in there. Whereas if I went like fifth, altered sixth, did a flatted seventh over that stuff bugs me.
Mhm.
So I know which ones I can do where I can throw in pathways between notes where okay, so this note of the melody I can do it, and it won't get in the way.
Right. And you guys have played together so long. It's quite amazing. As I said, to see consider the Source live is you're not just like some bands would be. Everybody be all about the guitar player or something, like going to see Vi or something like that. In this band, I always say when I'm in the audience, I'm like a bobblehead. It's like I'm here, I'm on Gabe, I'm on John, I'm watching Jeff. You're just all over the place because there's times when you're like, son of a bitch, it's three guys soloing. At times, it really does. It almost sounds like just John's tapping away on the bass, Gabe's doing his thing, and Jeff's back there doing his thing, and it all works. It's amazing.
That's why we're a three piece for a reason. There's not really much room. We have a hard time sometimes having all three of us fit the three of us. So it's kind of like there's that. That's why when we started, we were just like we never thought about going for a singer or a fourth person. It was like once the three of us played together for the first time, it was like, oh, this is a band. Like I'm not exaggerating. I'll never forget our first jam in Ultrasound Rehearsal Studios in New York City. It's long gone. We played, and I remember like after the first one being like, oh, this is a band, because we started playing and we were all doing what we do, just the young version. So Don was slapping crazy and I was doing my Eastern stuff, and Justin, and afterwards like, oh, I've never heard this sound before. And all three of us were like in agreement, like just the natural thing that we produced was a cool original thing. And so that was just, all right, let's go for it,
And it still is. Yeah, there's nobody out there that, yeah, you can't go, well, they sound like Consider the Source, or Consider the Source sounds like them. It just don't happen. And sometimes you guys, what's amazing is you're playing different time signatures that eventually come back to each other. We talked about this the other night in the lesson, how Robert Fripp and King Crimson were famous for doing that too.
Crimson. That was the thing about like the 80s
Oh yeah, yes.
lineup was like the interlocking sort of rhythmic aspect, or even like the double album on the Thrack when Crimson did the double trio. They did a lot of stuff where they would put one trio on one earphone, one trio on the other earphone, and they would do like these interlocking sort of very crazy rhythms.
Right, right.
For me, the odd rhythms come from the Balkan dance music. So my way of approaching Odd Times is all about like making them. It all comes from dance stuff, So that's why I think we're able to fit into the jam scene, even when we play tunes in 15 and we open with a tune that alternates measures of 9 and 13 sometimes. That's like our opening one, and people are still grooving to it because like it is at the end of the day, the Balkan stuff is dance music. That's how 2s are short steps and 3s are long steps. So if you can divide any time signature into these short steps and long steps, and so that's how I learned how to play Odd Times. So that's just the element of it that I bring in that respect.
Nice.
Very cool.
Oh, are you getting close to where you got to go, man?
No, I mean, look, I'm chill. Like when you guys want to wrap, I'm good. I got another 20 minutes and I have to jet to the studio. So however long you gotta go.
No, man.
All right, Mike.
The studio to finish the Tajikistan stuff. Like tonight is the first time we're gonna get to listen to all of the stuff and see if I'm done and the other Dutar is done, and we're gonna now the next step is to send off the tracks to the percussionists. This guy Abos Kosimov, I don't know, he's like very, when Zakir Hussain does like the Masters of Percussion tour, he's in it. He's like the best percussionist in that part of the world. He's going to be drumming on some of it and stuff. It's
wow.
Pretty exciting. I've like not even like really serious when I was in Tajikistan, and I was like, man, it'd be great if we could get Abos to play Doira, which is like the drum out there on it. And so Sirojiddin called him up. They spoke Uzbek for a little bit, and he was like, yeah, he'll drum on it. And I was like, crazy. So that was pretty cool.
That's way cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. Abos is Uzbek and Sirojiddin is Tajik, but they speak each other's language even though they're not.
Yeah, I remember when you went over there and your interpreter canceled out or whatever.
I had some wild times with that. Because like in Turkey I can get by with my Turkish skills. I speak enough Turkish to get by. And then if I deal with Uzbeks or Kazakh people or something that have a Turkic language, there's a little bit of communication. But with Tajik is a Persian language, and so I was totally asked out. And it's written in the Russian script too. So I'm like, oh, and I can hack my way through the Cyrillic alphabet, but not seeing these words that I had no idea what they meant. So I was like, this is too much, and no one really speaks English there. So I had translators for me and stuff.
You know, one of the great things I think about the kind of music that you do and that you're into and I'm into, and I was already kind of on this road, but I've really branched out with you, and I thank you for that. But to me, music, when I listen to these different music from different countries, and I watch videos of these people and I see these people, I really realize on a deeper, heartfelt level that, man, we're all the same. These people are working hard. They're going to work. They're trying to feed their family. Their governments might not be so good, but, you know, and I don't want to get into politics, but that's what I'm saying. We tend to loop people into what their political climate is or their leaders when they're just people playing music. And, you know, I don't know. For me, if I'm not making sense, but for me, it just makes the world, we're connected.
That's the purpose. That's the purpose of politics. It's divide and conquer.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
You know, the stuff that we do, like the virtuosic Balkan music, I say that's our bluegrass, because it's like, it's mountain music for people. It's virtuosic dance music that you can pay attention to the crazy musicianship, and it's stunning. Like those bluegrass guys can totally rip. But 60% of the people doing the line dance aren't paying attention to the solos. They're paying attention to the dancing. So, you know, that's the same thing with the Balkan stuff. You watch the clarinet players just ripping, and like some people are appreciating that, the extreme virtuosity of the music, but all the babushkas are just dancing in the time signature or whatever it is, you know? So it's kind of like, it's the same sort of situation.
Yeah. But people are dancing. Well, I see that at your shows. I mean, and I'm in and out. I'm dancing, but I'm also standing there picking my jaw up off the floor. So, you know, it's a little of both. I mean, yeah, you see it in people's eyes, but music is a language that brings people together. And I really like that and appreciate that.
Do you think this would be a good time to play 100,000 Fools?
I was going to say, yeah, I don't think we got time for Ninja.
This song, I actually am, this is a CTS tune, one of our acoustic tunes, but also I did this song on the upcoming Tajikistan album with the Tajik guys. So there's a different version of this song coming out soon too.
Nice.
I used to do these Telefunken recordings. I used to use them for my audio engineering students.
So this is the live one. Yeah, so this is live.
Yeah, this is the live one.
I'm playing a silk string Dutar here. So this is me playing a silk string Tajik Uzbek Dutar that actually Mike has the Dutar that I use in this video now.
Yes, he sold it to me.
Oh, wow.
I got a new one, and that's his Dutar now. And John is playing the band. Okay.
Listening to the source here, live at Telefunken Studios. The song is called 100,000 Fools. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Was that a banjo bass
Yep.
thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I heard like a bass line and banjo, and they were kind of together.
They were.
And it seemed to be the one person doing it, but I heard two sounds.
Yeah. It's amazing. I believe that. I believe John's broke that a couple times too, or he had to replace it.
The ukulele bass is the one that's gotten broken a few times. That there is for some reason
Okay.
a bad luck stream that he has had. Luckily, we have an endorsement from that company because there's been some comedic, tragic ends of those guys, in our history. But that's okay.
Yeah, it happens.
It happens. Yeah. So that was the silk string dutar from Uzbekistan or Tajikistan, and that rhythm is the 3/3/2 rhythm in Central Asian music. It's called tanovar, and a lot of dances have that. And the name is comes from a Central Asian saying, 100,000 fools. It's 100,000 fools of God, but we're in America, so we take out the religious part for the people.
Exactly.
We're from different religions in the band too, so you can't, there's no unifying thing there. So it's okay. It's good. Keep it neutral.
Right. Well, that's the amazing thing. Yeah, you guys are all so different, but yet, yeah, it's who knows how that works, but it does. Oh yeah. You talk to these guys and they have different musical backgrounds, but yet it all seems to fuse in together. But then I'm an old Deadhead. I used to say that about the Grateful Dead. All their members had completely different musical backgrounds.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that helps it stay interesting and helps people kind of like, you can stay inspired because you can bring the thing that you're into at the moment into the thing. You know what I'm saying? If I've been listening, if it's been a particularly free jazz heavy period of my life, I can play weirder. Like when we recorded the album that we put out during that chunk of COVID, I was like almost exclusively listening to like really out stuff, and so my solos on that album are way more out than they normally would be, just because that's where my head state was at for that little period of time. I was just like, everything was going crazy during that part of COVID.
Yeah.
Like I was just listening to like Cecil Taylor and Sam Rivers and stuff, and so my stuff is a little bit more out there than it would be on our other albums, because that was just how I was at that point.
Oh yeah, that was.
Yeah, I think we're all like that a bit.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
we moved. We moved because it wasn't like we were fleeing a virus. We were kind of fleeing a reaction to it. We moved from Miami to rural North Florida, where we live now.
I went upstate for a little bit because my neighborhood in Queens was the epicenter neighborhood, and so I remember being upstate. My partner, she got for work. It was very lucky we were able to go up there, and I remember just like watching it and being like, Elmhurst Hospital is the epidemic, and I was like, oh, that's like 5 blocks from our house. I know exactly where that is. So we live in a small New York 1-bedroom. That would have been very hard to weather that year. So that was a pretty nice for those couple months.
No, but as I said, we were seeking freedom, and it's much different up here.
The ironic thing about COVID was out of that, and I, not displacing all the bad things that came out of that, but that's when you guys really got hot and heavy on Facebook.
It was great because we were doing it. It was like that was that before the summer. That little period was nice because people were home. They were music. We were able to do live stream stuff. We were able to do some stuff. It was very hard not to be able to be people playing in person, but that was like, I felt bad for a lot of bands that were just starting at that point because it was a momentum killer for them. But for stuff like that was already established enough, it ended up being like a way of maintaining sanity for us and the fans, just doing stuff like that. So that was like, while it was happening, it was a really interesting time. But like in retrospect, that was a very pretty little reprieve from what happened afterwards, what was about to happen.
Yeah, well, and I was just really getting to know the band because I came across, I've told you this, but I came across Consider the Source on Live Music Archive. I was just kind of perusing the archive, which is all live music, obviously, and I saw Consider the Source. And I thought, well, that's an interesting sounding name for a band. I got to check them out. And so I downloaded a show and listened to it. And that was in 2019. So I was still fairly new to the scene. And I wasn't sure. And I remember asking you when we started getting into lessons about your audience, because I thought, man, I'm an old guy. I can't, I don't want to do mosh pits and be slammed around. And I found, and I found out it was more a jam band scene and hippies and stuff like that I was more used to and comfortable with. But yeah,
Awesome.
my first CTS show got canceled due to COVID. So I was bummed. Yeah, it was like 2 nights before Asheville, I think, something like that. And so they were doing a lot of, you guys were doing all that Facebook stuff. And that's when, I found out about the lessons, and I sent you this weird email saying, hey, I'm interested in the Dombra and Dutar, but will you teach beginners? And you replied back, in this country, everyone's a beginner. So
It's true. That's the thing is like, I tell people about you sometimes because it's so fucking cool that like, you're studying music from Kazakhstan and Tajikistan and Uzbekistan and stuff. It just shows the universality of music because like, it sounds great, but people don't know things. They don't know things. And it's sometimes people will think that it's not a uniquely American thing. Like people in Turkey don't know the difference between country music and bluegrass music. So like, why would someone here be expected to know the difference? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't expect people to know by any stretch of the imagination. That's like no one, but the thing is nowadays, like we have the sum of human knowledge at our fingertips and people are less curious. Like when I was getting into this stuff, like for the Balkan stuff was easy for me. Because it came with that, but like when I was in college trying to get I was scouring the libraries and finding any small thing I could on the line of this kind of music, and like it was so hard to find any of it, and I found I scrounged every bit, and now you can go on YouTube and watch a home video from rural Iran in like 1987 of Khalil Tanbor in his living room, and you're like, that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like 8 people had access to that before. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
8 people that you would never meet could have seen this, and now everyone can watch it. And people are less excited to find it now. MashaAllah.
Well, except this fool, but
not
you're awesome. That's
not us either, man.
Yeah.
That's why we connected right away. I connected with Mike because I was like, yeah, that's what I love to do. There's the reason why I use the term wayfarer as music, because I'm a wanderer, I'm a wanderer in this life, and the thing I love to do most is learn and just experience things. And
but with all respect, you guys are of an older generation, and when I go to world music shows, it's people from the ethnicity of the concert. Let's say it's a Kurdish concert, there'll be Kurdish people, and then there'll be people from your age group, and there's not that many people from my age group or younger, and that's what scares me, is that like people of your generation listen to music and seek out interesting sounds and have more of an attention span for stuff and know how to, whereas I feel there's like, of course we have wonderful fans and it's really cool, and like, but it's less mainstream, less of a normal thing to give something a second listen past 15 seconds if you didn't like it. Like our videos sometimes, like, oh, this got a lot of 10-second views, you did well. I'm like, 10-second views, what the fuck is this? You know what
I know.
So like, that of course, there's going to, like, I hope when I go to classical music shows, when there's just not enough people of the 40 and under generation replacing it, and that scares me a bit.
Wow. But the thing is, I loved it in the 90s. The thing I loved about the 90s is back then, everything's on CD, of course, and I was a member of BMG and Columbia House because I was just buying music and stuff, trying to get it at a good price. And I just loved then. I mean, some of it wasn't great, but there was an interest in world music then, and it was kind of getting a little bit pop.
Yeah. And not just that, but in like the 60s, some of the hippies had the Khan CD. They had a lot of older hippies had the CD record called Call of the Valley. That was 3 famous Indian musicians. And for some reason, people knew that one. And then, Zappa learned how to do Odd Times. One CD of Balkan, not CD again, I'm saying my age, the record of Bulgarian folk music that was available. in America, there was one field recording, and that's where Zappa got a lot of his odd time stuff from, you know? So it was when things were harder, in some ways, people were more intrepid. And now that everything is so easy, all the stuff that you can just find it, people are less interested. Maybe that'll shift, you know, inshallah, that could
Yeah,
shift. We don't
one of
know.
my favorite things from the '90s was Deep Forest and what they were doing, and like Deep Forest, La Boheme. Oh, that was a beautiful album. Like music from like Slovakia and you know.
Well, the thing
Bohemia.
is, the to in def- I guess in defense of the kids today, yeah, they have access to everything on the internet, yet mass media has such a hardcore control over what they consume on the internet. You know, artists like yourself aren't put out there. And therefore, you know, they are not exposed. And you only love what you know and know what you love. And so, you know, a lot of people, a lot of very talented people like yourself just don't get a chance and don't get pushed forward.
And
Well,
sometimes, you know, you may not like something that will change your life later the first time. Like,
true.
most important album of all time to me in a lot of ways, Intermountain Flame by Mahavishnu Orchestra.
Mm.
That was like a life changing thing. The first time I heard it, I didn't like it. And I was like, this kind of sucks. And then, like a year and a half later, I gave it another chance and totally changed my life. Totally. Not even kind of, no doubt about it that I wouldn't be on this path now if it wasn't for that album. and you know, like Love Supreme. The first time I heard Love
Oh
Supreme,
yeah.
I was like, I don't really get this. And the second time I heard it, I was like, Train is my guy. You know what I'm saying?
Now,
Like,
now
you know,
the Ohm album was a little bit.
see, I love Ascension. Ascension, I love the late Train. Om is one of my least favorite of that, but
Yeah,
Sunship, Meditations, all
yeah,
those
yeah,
albums,
yeah,
my favorite stuff.
yeah.
That's ironic because that's exactly in the mid '70s. That's how I was about Yes. The most popular kid in school brought these Yes albums in, and I was like, because it was the most popular dude, I wanted to like it, and I was like, I don't know if I like this. And then I listened to it more later on my own. Next thing I know,
Mhm.
I'm going to see him in concert, and you know, big
Right.
fan back then. And I liked a lot of the progressive type bands of the '70s as well. So
Yeah.
and just continued the rest of my life.
Wait, and that's
Yeah,
great. I mean, like you have Crimson live albums from the '70s, and they would throw like free improvs into their set and stuff like that, and there'd be a lot of people there like watching and like absorbing the music. You know, again, music education, internet. There's just more stuff to take your attention away from. There's, you know, there's
Well,
valid reasons, and there's also like I believe the human soul needs music that is not just a metronome with lyrics about shit that you um uh that relate to your everyday life. Music doesn't have to be about just dancing and mundane shit. It can be,
yeah,
and there's no problem with that too. There's no problem with having that too. But sometimes, like, you know, there is there's something about striving or taking in something different, or you know, music without that rhythmic grid, that pulse, that, you know, having there is good. You know, it's good for you.
yeah. I love good
You know,
storytellers.
people are
Like,
just used to the fast food music, and it's
TikTok.
easy.
I remember
Y-
I played a solo show at this event in Brooklyn, and it was such a mismatched thing. It was me doing like my Dutar stuff and a rapper, and
Oh
he
wow.
was a young man from, you know, urban Brooklyn, and he had an entourage with him, we'll say, and it was very late for his set. Everything was perfect in that respect, and I played, and afterwards, a young fella came up to me and was like, I like I've never heard. I was seeing people that I've never seen and seeing like places that I've never been, and like that was crazy. And I was like, you know, you've listened, and I wanted to say this, like you've been eating candy your whole life, and this was the vegetable. You know what I'm
hmm
saying? Like
yes,
you've been listening to
yes.
rap music that's modern about one thing with one kind of rhythm, and this was a from a different universe with a different intention. And you know, live, he was able to pick up on my intention. And he was very like, that was crazy. He was like, I was like, I saw a lady. I didn't know that lady. And I was like, yeah, you know, like maybe there is music that's not just around you, about your immediate surroundings and life, that is good for you. Is maybe how I'll put it.
Yeah, the music I love the most is the things that take me away and just make me think and also feel, and just sometimes instrumentals that just don't just put things in my imagination, but I can kind of like connect with the sound in a deeper way, where the sound is not even creating visuals, but it's creating concepts. And I don't know. I'm just a wanderer.
Well, that's the thing. But what was it? Liszt, the classical composer,
Yeah.
said that words are ambiguous, but in music we can understand each other. And I think that's kind of like, which is to the opposite of what most people would say.
Yeah,
Now,
that's deep.
I like that. I always like that sentiment.
Well, yeah, and I understand some of the younger people. I mean, I grew up, first rock music I listened to was the Beatles. So I heard every love song you could possibly hear. But as I've gotten older, and especially now, there's a few people that write lyrics that I enjoy, but for the most part, I've just heard it all.
That's
It bores me. So the instrumental music challenges me a little more, and I like he said, I like that deeper feeling level as opposed to some words just telling me something.
Well, there's some lyricists that are excellent. Like Paul Simon can really write lyrics, and so can Peter Gabriel. It's like stuff.
Yeah, but there's very.
Yeah, I'm talking about more modern people.
Maybe the only person whose lyrics I listen to music for their lyrics, I think, would be Tom Waits. And then when I was whiny and 18, Elliott Smith. But as an adult, that's a little bit harder for me to take lyrically. I think his melodies and songwriting are still beautiful, but some of those lyrics that I definitely liked when I was young, I look back and I'm like, oh, I can't feel that in my later age that I could when I was 19 as strongly.
Right.
All right. Well, we know you have a studio to get.
Yeah. So, but thank you guys so much for having me.
Well, thank you for giving us so much time, and I hope you at least enjoyed the talk and stuff, because we're grateful. We're grateful for you taking your time to be with us.
Yeah,
yes, sir. Absolutely.
All right, Mike, how about you close this out?
Well, I already said thanks, but
well, you see,
I'll see you later at some point. So yeah, it's all like, oh, okay, where are you going? No,
now you know how it feels, man, when you have to kind of host a stream. It's like, okay, now what?
No,
how do we close?
Yeah, I got you. Well, you close with the national anthem or something, but we'll figure something out.
It's not a normal national anthem.
No, I'm just teasing. But at any rate, man, I really appreciate you coming on and spending so much time. Yeah, you exceeded expectations, and I thank you for that.
But
Dario's still here.
Well, since we are closing, Gabe, why don't you just tell folks what's coming up, and then where you'd like them to go to just find out more about your music or some of your projects.
Yeah, the rest of this year, we'll be doing Consider the Source stuff, and next year we'll be doing the first chunk of the year. We'll be doing some CTS stuff, and then I'll be getting a lot of shows with my new bands and stuff. So I have January 8th is the debut Social Assassins album coming out.
All right.
Called Only a Fool Fights in a Burning House. It's an old Klingon proverb from classic Star Trek.
Awesome. Yes. And, love that.
And then I'll be going back overseas to Dubai and Turkey and Tajikistan for February and some March. And then Consider the Source tour, Social Assassins tour, got the album from Tajikistan. And I have a very cool band that I'm going to be announcing soon, made up of dudes from well-known other bands in the scene that I play in. That's going to be coming out next year that I'm very excited to be a part of. So you can go to my Instagram, Gabriel Marin Music, or website, Gabriel Marin
Music.
Music, thank you. .com and stuff. And yeah, follow, Consider the Source, Social Assassins, follow our various stuff. There's going to be, next year is going to be a cool year. I have
I hope so.
my debut stuff of in my free jazz world. I have a few albums coming out in that thing. So I'm probably going to have like 4 to 5 releases come out next year. So it'll
Wow.
be a year in that respect.
Wow.
So hopefully.
So are you going to travel around with this the Balkan band?
Oh, yeah, right. I have a new trio thing. I have a trio. That one, yeah, I think so. That one I just made that group for one gig, and the response was so good. We did another gig, and the response was even better at that gig. So people are like, I think, yeah, because I can play jazz clubs with that group, So I've had over the years a lot of offers to go to like the more jazz realm, but I've never had a project. So now that I have a trio of mine doing like Balkan folk music, but with an upright bass and drum set.
Well, I bet they have a jazz club in Nashville.
Yeah, so I think at some point I'll get that trio out there more too. So yeah, so maybe even 6 things coming out next year. Who knows?
Yeah, Gabriel's used to me asking, "You coming down south?"
Man, we used to tour so much, and we don't tour as much now, and I miss half of it. I don't miss the Wednesday night in Oklahoma, proverbially, the Tuesday night in Oklahoma, we'll say. But I do miss a little bit of being on the road as much as we used to be. But now that I have these other projects and stuff happening, I'll be back out there more.
It's hard for people, especially nowadays. It's hard unless you're a really big name act. Most people are not going to go on Tuesday night. So,
Well, around here we have a great venue called the Spirit of the Swanee.
Oh, we played Aura Fest in Swanee.
Oh yeah, we live in Swanee County.
well, you're going to have to see them next time they come down.
All right.
I saw somebody like Detroit. Yeah, we'll be March or April or May. CTS will be going back through Michigan and Detroit again. So
There you go.
we'll be back there because we wanted to for the end of this year, but we didn't. So, but we'll be getting to all those places early next year.
Oh, someone mentioned Detroit.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I was like, Swanee River's not in Detroit.
No, it's right.
Opposite ends. No.
All right, that's cool. All right, folks.
All right. Well, we'll look forward to this great year of music releases and seeing you, man. I miss you.
Please follow.
I see you in person. Nice to meet you guys too. Hopefully, I'll be rolling through Florida again, and we can meet in person at some point.
All right, cool. That'd be awesome. And everyone, check
That
out
would be awesome.
GabrielMarinMusic.com and Gabriel Marin Music on Instagram. And there's other socials there. Subscribe to the YouTube channels and consider the source.
Yes, give them a sub, please.
Well, consider the source is called Consider the Music on YouTube. I guess it's easier to be found that way than.
There was another Consider the Source many years ago.
Oh, okay.
And we won that battle. Yeah, also subscribe to my personal YouTube. I've been very bad about posting on it, so I have like very few subscribers. But next year I'm going to launch more stuff. So Instagram is where I paid most attention to. But I avoided social media until like the middle of pandemic. So I'm late on this whole game. So catch up. Okay. We'll catch up together.
Yeah, well, we selectively do social media. But one thing I recommend for your YouTube channel is maybe an avatar, because it just has a big purple G.
Yeah, let me get my shit together in that respect.
All right.
Lawrence has helped me too. I'm 2 away from 100, so.
Subscribe to Mike Mountain Hawk Gorley. Link in the description.
Yeah.
Let's get him to 100.
There you go. Well, Gabe, I know you got to run, man. So.
All right. So, yeah, and if you need to run away, you don't even need to watch this closer, because we're going to do a closer with a few public service ads.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Nice to meet everyone. Enjoy. Thank you for having me.
All right. Good night.
Great to have you, Cho.
Water. Just so many ways to enjoy it. Almost everyone swims through it, rides on it, or plays around it. It's fun. But accidents do happen. Many could be avoided. Still, others kept harmless, if people were safety-minded. Safety means having the right equipment and skills. Your Red Cross chapter can help with information and instruction, so give them a call and be safe.
This weekend on The Late Show, an attack of gnawing terror. 11:30 Saturday, Willard rules a powerful rat army.
You made me hate myself. Well, I like myself now. Tear 'em up!
Saturday, 11:30 Sunday, the rats are hungry again.
I want every train in this city exempt. 1,150 miles of pipe?
Every inch of it. Where Willard ended, Ben begins. Willard and Ben, two gnawing terrors on Channel 4 beginning at 11:30 on The Late Show.
And one of the most important things I learned is you don't become a star overnight. It really takes a lot of hard work to get there. Now, what I want to do, Ronnie, is give you a few tips on defense. Now, you're going to run a sweep around me, and I'm going to try to stop you. You watch how I stop you.
He's no Larry Zonka, but he's a terrific big brother.
How did he do that?
Share yourself with a kid. Share yourself with a kid.
On Thursday, November 13th, CBS proudly presents a major motion picture event. Sylvester Stallone as the fighter whose whole life was a 1,000,000-to-1 shot. Talia Shire as the woman who loved him and believed in him. Winner of 3 Academy Awards. Rocky. Thursday at 8, 7 Central and Mountain.
Tomorrow on CBS.
This concludes another day of programming on Channel 4. Before signing off, we'd like to invite you to start every day with WTVJ and enjoy a world of entertainment coming your way over Florida's pioneer television station, WTVJ, Channel 4, Miami. Ladies and gentlemen, our national anthem.